When life gets unpredictable, preparation matters. In medicine, it's all about staying alert, ready for whatever comes through the door. On the road, it's no different. That's why Volvo designs vehicles to help anticipate risk, reduce harm, and protect lives. The Volvo XC90's advanced safety systems inspire confident decisions wherever the road takes you. The Volvo XC90, for life. Proud sponsor of the Pit Podcast. Learn more at volvocars.ca/safety.
Certainly felt a bit like 2015 over the weekend. Major news networks broadcasting Trump rallies live, and former President Donald Trump was on stage Saturday night in Texas with his Make America Great Again rally, his bid for 2024. But all eyes are on the former president with speculation of indictments and a potential arrest. Of course, there's been various investigations into the former president, including one investigation into him apparently paying hush money to former porn star Stormy Daniels. So let's find out more about all of these investigations and how this will all play out. Joshua Pepper joins us, a former assistant attorney general in New York. Welcome to the show, Joshua. Mr. Pepper, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So can I call you Joshua? Is that okay?
Josh is fine.
Josh. Okay. So Josh, let's get to all of this. First things first, I know I spoke to a reporter a couple weeks back on this, and they're like, it's not just one investigation. There's like multiple spinning plates across America right now, investigations in Donald Trump. How should we start all of this off? How do you view all of these spinning plates right now?
Well, they're being conducted independently because we have independent entities conducting them. In New York, the district attorney, Alvin Bragg, his office, and that actually inherited it from the previous district attorney, Cy Vance, they're investigating the Stormy Daniels payment as we understand it, but they're investigating whether he may have violated New York laws. Georgia is investigating whether he may have violated Georgia law, and that, from the best we can tell, seems to be about the fake elector scheme and his call and Trump's call to the Georgia Secretary of State saying, find me 11,000 votes. And so those things implicate Georgia law, and the Georgia DA is looking, and a DA in Georgia, I should say, because it's a local DA, is investigating that. Then you have the Justice Department, and it's a completely separate inquiry because, again, now we're looking at federal law, and we're looking at a different set of facts, a different thing that he may have done, and that has to do with the classified documents. And so these classified documents that were found in Mar-a-Lago in Trump's home, that's a federal law having to do with whether he may have mishandled classified documents, and that's their investigation. So, yes, we're looking at separate investigations because they're separate facts.
And what about January 6th? Is that also a thing that's still happening?
Yes, and that, as I understand it, is also the Justice Department. So they've got special prosecutor, Jack Smith, who's looking at both of those things. And so he's got two separate investigations that he's juggling, and he's looking at both of those sets of facts and two separate investigations that they are apparently looking at.
So how do you view the Stormy Daniels affair? Because I've heard some very smart people say, and people who are not fans of Donald Trump, I've heard very smart people say, you know what, this is not the one to go after him. It's such small potatoes compared to the other stuff, and that it could actually make him more popular and work against what a lot of people want to have happen here if he's charged on this one. What do you think about that?
Well, two things. One, it's not up to the New York DA to decide whether or not those other things are more important because they're not his purview. He only can look at what's in New York. He can only look at whether Trump violated New York law. And it's not up to him to decide whether or not the Justice Department is going to go forward with their investigation or whether the Georgia DA in Georgia is going to go forward with that investigation. He can only look at New York. And so these separate entities with separate decisions, they have to make separate decisions. So nobody can decide, well, we'll go the more important one rather than the less important one. Whether you think it's more important or not, it doesn't matter because nobody can decide that for anybody else. Now, whether it's going to help Trump or hurt him, that I think may be unknowable. Ultimately, whether it's good or bad for him, you could see in the short term it riling up his base. Indeed, he may be running for president to try to stave off these investigations, to try to have the excuse to say, well, this is all political because I'm running for president. And so the more active he is as a candidate, the more he gets to say, this is only because I'm running for president. They wouldn't be doing this if I weren't running for president. But whether it'll...
No, finish your thought, Joshua. Finish your thought.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say whether it'll ultimately help his candidacy or not. Ultimately, Republicans, we've already seen in a lot of polls that Republicans, the majority of them are kind of ready to move on anyway. And so if the majority of them ultimately support other candidates, it may have nothing to do with this. But it may help some of the people who were already kind of feeling that way in the first place to say, yeah, even though I like Trump and voted for him twice, it's time to go with somebody else. And that's only among Republicans. If he does get the nomination, whether it ultimately help him or hurt him, again, to the extent that there are swing voters who were kind of leaning against voting for him anyway, it may give them an excuse to say, yeah, I don't think I'm going to vote for Trump this time. But ultimately, to the extent that people may rally to him or may go against him, I think it's a wash.
We're with Joshua Pepper, a lawyer, former assistant attorney general in New York. Josh, this Stormy Daniels affair, I know people like to talk about, it's hush money to a porn star. People refer to it that way. But actually, when we talk about it in the sense of the law, what's being alleged here? Is it business fraud? Is it falsifying document? What's being alleged in that case?
Well, so far, nothing's been alleged because we don't have an indictment. Right now, all we can do is kind of speculate as to what they're likely looking at and what, based on the public information that we have, what they could be alleging. Right now, at least, I have suggested that they could be looking at falsifying of documents or falsifying of business records, because what we know from public reporting is that the Trump organization made this payment to Michael Cohen, who made the payment to Stormy Daniels, and they reported it on their business records as legal work. And now Michael Cohen says, no, I didn't do any legal work for him. That's not what the payment was for. If that's true, that would seem to be a pretty strong case for falsification of business records. But again, we don't know whether that's the actual crime that they're looking at or what they'll ultimately charge him with.
Now, if what you just told us had happened to someone not named Donald Trump, let's say it's the same story in New York State, where it's some other businessman who's not in politics commits the same type of thing, would they be prosecuted?
Well, it's impossible to know that because we don't know what that other situation would be or what kind of business records they were looking at or how important it was to the people who were looking at the business records. One way a DA gets a case is somebody comes to him and complains and says, hey, this happened and I lost lots of money because of it, or what have you. That doesn't seem to have happened this time. It's certainly possible that because Trump was in the limelight and because a lot of this has come to the public, that was what alerted the DA to it, and they thought, gee, maybe we ought to look at this because it would seem that this man, Donald Trump, may have committed some serious crimes. But we don't know that, really.
And, lastly here, Josh, I know we'd heard some rumors this would happen last week. He'd be arrested. There'd be an indictment. It still hasn't happened yet. So the delay, the wait here, why do you think we're still waiting?
Well, I don't know that there was any reason to think that we would have heard last week. The only person who said that was Donald Trump. And, he could have had some inside information, but then again, he may have just made it up.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess we should just be prepared to wait a lot longer.
Possibly. We know that the grand jury is meeting today. Certainly some signs from the DA's office suggest that it's going to be soon, maybe this week, but we certainly can't say that for sure.
Josh, we have to leave it there. Really fun talking to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
That's Joshua Pepper, a lawyer and former assistant attorney general in New York.